Hello, Avram.
Hey! It's been a long time.
It has
How are you
been a
feeling?
very long time. I'm doing decently.
Good, good. I'm sorry it hasn't been. It's not better than decently.
Well,
Uh,
it could be worse than decent. So,
that is true.
all right.
so, I would like to. I know it's a couple weeks old, but probably worth talking about Logitech's new gear that I have right here.
Okay.
New professional keyboard and mouse, uh, which are which are highly recommended for anyone who wants to be more productive. And I could show the software too.
Cool.
Um, so, uh, so I've got that to talk about.
Sounds good. For our live viewers, we're going to be doing, and Avram doesn't know this yet either. We're going to be doing something a little different. We're trying to control when the ads play on YouTube and Twitch. So we're going to force them between segments tonight, so that we know when they're playing, you know when they're playing, you don't miss any content because, Twitch or YouTube decides that they're going to play an ad over top of, Avram showing off a cool keyboard and mouse or, whatever that happens all the time. So we're going to try and control that tonight. We're going to see how it goes. It's for YouTube. It's a new feature for us. So we'll see. Oh. Also, we have a guest who's going to be sitting over here during the gaming section to talk about the Sony announcements.
Dun dun dun! Awesome. Is that guest perhaps Alante?
Indeed, it is.
Yay! Happy birthday, Alante.
Yes, yesterday was Alante's birthday, so happy birthday, Alante. A big one, 35. So we got to go to a Caribbean festival last night. That was a lot of fun.
Oh.
So
Neat.
it just so happened to coincide with his birthday.
Fantastic.
Yeah. And he's been looking
well, I
for
hope you
good
got to
Caribbean
enjoy
food
some
for
of
a
the
while.
Me too. Me too.
Yeah.
I mean, we have some decent restaurants around here, but haven't been to a restaurant in a while.
What's today? Today's the 6th? 5th.
Yeah, fifth.
What episode number is this? 623. I've completely forgotten how this works. Yeah. It's been so long, I've kind of forgotten how the show works. I didn't have my script updated or anything. We did do some remodels in here. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But we've moved some stuff around to make things easier on me. We'll see if it works. All right, so this is back in place. He's still muted. I can hear you there. All right. I think with that, I'm ready. I just have to hit record this week. I'll remember to do that. All right, here we go. This week, New York protects the right to repair. Sony shows off upcoming PlayStation games, and Netflix struggles with password sharing rules. It's Sunday, June 5th, 2022, and this is episode 623 of F5 Live, refreshing technology, a proud part of the Tech Podcast Network. If it's tech, it's here. Wherever you are and however you're accessing our show, whether it be on social media through Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or Snapchat, through a podcatcher like Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, TuneIn, or a myriad of other options. Our live stream platforms, livestream.com, Twitch, or YouTube, where you can join the community and get ad-free versions of F5 Live and the Piltch Point, or on our website, PLUGHITZlive.com. Thank you for making us a part of your day. There are two ways that you can do that. The first is Sunday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern. You can go to f5live.tv/join us. There, you'll see, you'll be able to chat with us in the studio, give us your feedback on the topics as we talk about them. If you're not able to join us live, that is okay. PLUGHITZlive.com/subscribe. You'll see all of our shows, including F5 Live, Piltch Point, PLUGHITZ Live Present, and a whole lot more. And of course, find all of the ways to watch, listen, and follow along. It is good to be back. We have been gone for a while. There have been some personal issues bouncing kind of around the group between myself and Alante, and it's been quite a thing. We've had some birthdays in here, and it's been a wild May. But we're back. Tonight is a little special for a couple of reasons. We've done some remodels here in the studio, which we're really excited about. Things that you may not see on the outside, but things that I know about, because they are designed to make putting this show together a little easier. So, hooray for that. We're also trying some new stuff for our live viewers. If you're not watching live and you're watching to the full show, you might notice a couple of cuts in places that there didn't used to be. But it's okay. It's on purpose. Everything's fine. But also, this week is our 15th anniversary. It's hard to believe we've been doing this show for 15 years. June 10th, 2007 was the second episode of the show. The first one we had technical issues and we just abandoned in the middle of a live stream. Like, all right, too many technical issues. We're done. And obviously the studio was far less sophisticated than what we have now. Internet problems. I mean, they put an end to the episode. So we consider kind of between what would have been episode 1 and 2 to be our anniversary, and that's kind of tonight. So pretty exciting.
Awesome.
Hard to believe it's been 15 years. And it's changed so much, right? I'm the only constant.
Yeah. Yep.
We've had people come and go.
Still refreshes your browser.
That's true, but that wasn't the original name of the show. It was PLUGHITZ Live Radio originally. It's had a couple of names over the years. F5 Live is definitely the best one, though. So, yay, we're back for 15 years. So, how have you been over this last, 4 or 5 weeks that we've been off?
Wow, it's been so long. Good, but pretty decent, reviewing some new products, doing some new stuff, spending time with the kids. My daughter just wants, whenever I'm supposed to be trying to work on stuff, my daughter just wants me to sit and play music videos for her so she can sing along to them. And she's 3.
My favorite thing is that she is treating your office as a custom keyboard store?
Yeah, she comes in my office. She's 3, right? She comes in my office and she's like, hey, this is my store, and she wants to sit in my chair and not let me sit there. And this also happens some days when I'm actually trying to work.
Sure.
And she's like, I'm making a keyboard and this is my keyboard store. Do you want to? And then we tell her what kind of keyboard we want. So by color. I want a green keyboard with orange keys, and she'll say, okay, that'll be $3.
It's whatever. A great deal.
Although the other day she said it was a pet store, so I don't know. It's a variety of different kinds of stores at different times.
Okay.
Yeah. So today I was trying to I had thought I would have some time to try and install, do an upgrade to the 3D printer back there, which I haven't used in a while because I'm really unsatisfied with the bed leveling on it. In other words, it's really hard to level the bed. And if you know anything about 3D printers, if your bed's not level, then everything's going to be bad. So I had this sensor that you're supposed to put on it that allows it to like auto level, but I had to turn it over and do all kinds of stuff. And she kept coming in here and like wanting to use the room as a store, so, or want me to come into the living room with her and play her Twisted Sister videos so she can sing along to them. Since that is those are her favorites. Although she always asks why the dad is angry. She's like, "Why is the daddy screaming?" I'm like, "Well, he's not. He's not. You have to have seen the videos, okay?" Anyway, the daddy screams in the videos, but that's because he's a little bit crazy. Not me, the daddy in the video.
Sure.
Any, any,
Those are not
anyway.
mutually exclusive, friend. It can be both.
Right. But I'm just saying, talking about me. The funniest thing though is she likes to sing along, and then she will now talk along with the part in the video where the guy is like he's like yelling at his son.
Okay.
Like, what do you want to do with your life? And she's like, what do you want to do with your life? It's funny. Anyway,
amazing. I love it.
So anyway, yeah. So I guess that's I guess that's where I'm at. Lots of projects that I need to finish. I really need help crimping a wire. If anyone's good at that, I'm having real trouble right now. But anyway, otherwise things are going okay.
Well, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's good to be back. We've got a good show. We warned you that we're going to be testing some stuff. So this is the first test for our live viewers of what's hopefully going to work. Fingers crossed. We'll see if it does. We'll be back in just a minute. This week's Nifty Gifties and F5 Live is proudly powered by the Microsoft Store. Whether you're looking for a new laptop, tablet, desperately seeking an Xbox, games, or a whole lot more, you can find them all at the Microsoft Store. And remember that current students, faculty, parents, and active military can save up to 10% on almost everything. To browse the products that are available and learn about all of the discounts that you might be able to get, you can go to f5live.tv/Microsoft. All right, we've talked about this a little bit in the past, but right to repair laws have been a hot subject. Most people believe that when they purchase a device, it entitles them to, I don't know, own that device. Then there are companies that feel a little differently and seem to think that just because you've purchased it does not mean you can do things like change the battery. Avram and I have been lamenting the loss of the ability to change a cell phone battery, for example, for a decade or more.
Yeah, something like that. I mean, it's very frustrating.
Indeed it is. Now, not every company went this direction. Almost right up until the end, Nokia phones still had the ability to change batteries. I've got lots of them around. You could get into and make changes if you needed to. But obviously, most notoriously has been Apple. Their laptops, their phones, their everything have been sealed for a very long time. And more importantly, there's like retribution against people who want to try and get around the seal and all of that and try and fix their computer themselves or their phone themselves. There's software you have to run after it's been open. It's kind of insane. There's been some work in some states done to allow you the ability to make changes to devices, but this week, Avram's state of New York passed what is absolutely the most comprehensive right to repair law in the country. If signed by the governor, which of course it will be, individuals and third-party repair centers will be able to get a hold of hardware and software, parts and manuals to be able to make changes and make repairs to their devices, which I think is a wonderful situation and way overdue.
Well, obviously, I agree with that. I think the interesting question is, to what extent will the manufacturer have to support your effort? Because this definitely, definitely creates obligations for the manufacturer. So I'm looking at my Google Pixel phone here. Is Google now required to provide me with instructions on how to open it? Are they required to make phones that are easier to open? Are they required to sell replacement parts? Like, what is, what are the obligations on the manufacturer?
1 and 3 are yes, 2 is no. Yes, they're required to give you instructions on how to open it safely. They are required to make available the tools to do so and the parts to fix it. They are not required to make their devices any easier to open.
Right. So now, is there any, can they void your warranty for doing this, or is that
a fair question?
Is that covered?
It's a fair question. My guess is that they would be allowed to do that. Just like,
although to be fair, the reason most of us are repairing it is because it's not covered under warranty.
Exactly. So yeah, my guess is that it will still void your warranty by opening it yourself. I'm seeing if the word warranty is in the document. But either way, even if it does, you're still, like you said, the reason you're doing it, the only place... Okay, nothing in this section shall be construed to alter the terms of any arrangement described in paragraph A, whatever that is, of subdivision 1 of this section. enforced between an authorized repair provider and original equipment manufacturer, including but not limited to the performance or provisioning of warranty. Okay, so yes, just like in the past, with most computers, like pre-built computers or laptops and other electronic devices, once you open it, you've voided your warranty. But like you said, the reason you're doing it is because it's not under warranty, because it's going to cost too much to have Apple replace your screen at, 3/4 the price of a phone versus taking it down the street to a repair shop who knows how to do it and just having it done, or doing it yourself for, a third of that price.
I mean, this sort of is. I mean, one interesting question is how much change this is actually going to affect, because for most popular phones, there are stores that will, third parties that will repair it for you, and then there are kits that you can find from places like iFixit that do this, even in the absence of right to repair laws.
Right.
Does this just kind of shield those folks from being sued?
So it does some of that, but it also deals with, Apple's MacBook issue, where if you unseal a MacBook out of their stores, software has to be run on it to verify the equipment inside.
They would have to. So they would have to update it. So I'm sure that Apple will sue.
Absolutely.
I'm sure that Apple will sue to prevent this from happening, and this will go up to some. This will go through the court for a while, and we'll have to see. And just like with the App Store, they will make the spurious claim that this is for your own good.
Yeah.
Because you have to have our genuine parts put in by our genuine Apple geniuses, which costs a lot more, right? So
absolutely,
everybody believes that you should use their genuine parts because everybody wants to make the money off of you. So, it's hard to say. I mean,
yeah,
a few months.
It's interesting because, one of the last topics we talked about on the show, in one of the last episodes, was about Samsung and their relationship with iFixit, right? And that they have they had established a strong relationship to make parts and things more available to eliminate e-waste. And within 3 or 4 days of our episode, Google made a similar announcement. Now, I don't know if they smelled this in the water and wanted to try and get ahead of what New York was up to, but there's no way Apple has that same mentality.
I mean, a lot of companies, to be fair, want to represent themselves as being green.
Right.
Now, that's a good way of doing it. I love getting new devices as much as anybody probably, but the greenest thing that you can do instead of recycling is use something longer, right?
Yeah.
So the greenest thing is, instead of recycling your phone, is to keep using your phone. So when you make a product that is, planned obsolescence, then you have a problem. And like the sealed-in batteries are the best example of that. I mean, yes, you can pay someone to get it replaced, but when it becomes super expensive, it's not worth, I mean, you're not going to want to spend $100, $200, like $300 to get a new, I don't know what it costs to go to the Apple store and get a new battery for your iPhone, but it's now what could happen as a result of the competition here is that places like Apple might be forced to actually charge reasonable prices.
True.
For reasonable prices for something, for a battery, and then they would be more in the game. Because I mean, that's the thing with batteries, right? They always want you to use their battery, and I've had companies say things to me like, well, you don't know if the other batteries are safe or not. And to be fair, there's not a great bunch of like well-known brands in the like replacement laptop and phone battery space. Like, you can go on Amazon and
it's Lexar.
Yeah.
Past them, I don't know any brand.
Maybe, but there's like a lot of things I've gone on where it's like, oh yeah, I want to see if I can get a new battery for this old laptop. Oh yeah, there's a bunch on eBay. They say that they're genuine, but I don't know where they actually came from.
Right.
Like, do I trust them? Batteries are a little bit more of a, you know, something I'm a little bit more worried about than other components because if a faulty battery can be a fire hazard. So on the other hand, most of the time it's fine. So what do you do? Like I recall a few, maybe it was 6 months, more than that, maybe like 3/4 of a year ago. My son has been using. This is a perfect example of keep using old stuff, right? Especially if you have family, kids, whatever. Pass down your old stuff to the next person, right? So my old ThinkPad that I bought in 2014, I think it was, a couple of years ago, I gave it to my son, and he's really hard on that thing,
Hmm.
and the keyboard broke a little bit. Like a couple of the keys, like the keycaps came off and couldn't go back on. And I looked, and it was like really, really expensive to buy a replacement ThinkPad keyboard from Lenovo
Yeah.
for this old laptop that in and of itself is probably not worth more than $300. So I looked, and I think Amazon, somebody had one where they said this is a genuine, made in the same factory or whatever, so they claim, Lenovo keyboard, and it was like $30. I was like, $30 is about what I want to spend on
Sure.
this, and so I got it, and it worked, but I can tell that the quality is
Different.
some of the keys stick a little bit. The feel is not quite what I expect. But on the other hand, if you're kind of keeping afloat an old device just for hey, I'm going to keep this afloat for another couple years, you don't want to spend a lot of money on it, because at that point
Sure.
it's like, why don't I just buy a new one? So that's the thing about replacement parts. If the replacement parts are too expensive, it's a really big disincentive to buy them, to not buy a new one, because like, if I'm spending this much, why don't I just spend a little more and get a whole new one?
True. Yeah. To- totally makes sense. I think, like you said, I think this is has the ability to push some stuff, right? I think there are some competition changes that could come from this, which will be
Yeah.
really good for the market as a whole. So I definitely look forward to seeing what comes of this. Don't know what it'll be. Almost certainly, like you said, a lawsuit from at least Apple. But a lot of companies are trying to look better in the eyes of their customers on the green space and stuff like that. So there's a very real possibility that most companies are either going to embrace this in a big way, or at least not fight it. So I think that's good for everybody involved. This week's Piltch Point with Avram Piltch is a okay, all of my computers have given up on me. Sorry about that. Probably powered by PureVPN. The best way to protect your privacy online is with PureVPN. You can hide your online activities, say goodbye to regional restrictions, and improve your streaming quality. Plus, it's available for almost all of your devices. You can get a special price and a 31-day money-back guarantee right now by going to pilchpoint.live/purevpn. All right. Like I said, first episode back, things are happening, so it is what it is. Uh, so, Avram, you've got some show and tell, right?
Yes. So a couple weeks ago, a couple of new things came out that I got a chance to review, and I have right here from Logitech, that I think a lot of folks would be interested in and should be interested in. First of all, we have the Logitech MX Master 3S mouse. Now, if you have been following along, you know that this looks very similar, pretty much identical to the MX Master 3 mouse.
Absolutely.
Never mind that I have them in different colors. The 3S is available in this color, which looks like it's white, but is called light gray. It's available in graphite, which is kind of a really boring medium gray, and then it's available in black. And what's special about this mouse, which retails for $99, although the other day it was on sale for $89, and that's a lot for a mouse, but look, this is a mouse that can actually make you more productive, and so it's worth every penny. The first of all, it's got a very nice shape to it. Let me see if I can kind of show it out here. It's got this really nice sculpted side where you can rest your thumb. This is kind of a rubberized material here, and the heel, so very pleasant to touch. It's got a number of customizable buttons. So it's got these two buttons on the side, which could be your forward back. There's like a hidden button here that your thumb can press. Obviously, left and right buttons. This button up here, you can reprogram, but is actually made for shifting the mode of the scroll wheel, which is one of the key features here, which is that the scroll wheel has an electromagnet in it, which will adjust the feel of the wheel. So it can go from smooth to ratcheted. Of course, you can also just have it, as I do, be automatic. So if you start to scroll really fast, it becomes smooth. And if you scroll at normal speed, it's ratcheted. But that's something you can configure with the Logi Options software, which I'll show you in a minute. Also, one thing I really like about these is that they have a side scroll wheel. Now, you might be saying, how often do I have to side scroll? And you're right, probably you don't. But you can set this to be different things, to do things other than side scrolling, and you can set it to different things in different programs. So I have it be zoom in and out in Chrome, but I can have it be volume up and down in Spotify, and I can have it be scroll left and right in Excel. So you can have it be different things in different, or I have it be zoom in and out in Photoshop. Although, so whatever you want it to be, you can make it be by program. Now, you might be wondering, if you've been following along, what is the difference between the 3S and the 3, which came out years ago? There's a couple of differences. Now, I will say that if you already have a 3, you probably don't want to bother to spend the $100 to upgrade. However, if you don't have an MX Master mouse yet, then this is a good time to get one. So it has the buttons are now quiet, so they don't make a click noise. Now, at first, when I first pressed them, my thought was, "Oh, I hate this," because it didn't feel as tactile to me, and I thought, "Uh-oh, it's become mushy." But after about 5 minutes, I got used to it, and I really like it now. It does have the same amount of travel, but it's just, you actually requires a little less force, I think. And although I haven't gotten like the actuation numbers from Logitech on that, but it still feels really good, and it's quiet. Now, whether you really need quiet in your mouse button is an interesting question, because even if you're on a broadcast like this one, a lot of broadcast tools have noise cancellation that cancels out that noise anyway. But if you're worried about it, this has that feature. The other upgrade is that the sensor goes from 4,000 to 8,000 DPI. So with that, now that means that you'll have a faster, you can set it. I mean, it defaults to 1,000 DPI as it did on the old one. So if you don't mess with the settings, you wouldn't notice the difference. But I turned this up to about 5,000, and that was good for working with my 4-monitor setup, getting around faster without it being too fast. So that is an improvement. The other change that is not really an improvement, but just a change, is that this now uses Logi Bolt for connectivity. So it can connect to, this is really important, of course, just like the old one, it has this button on the bottom to change profiles, and it can connect to up to 3 devices. And it can connect via either Bluetooth LE or Logi Bolt. The old one used something called Logitech Unifying Receiver. The only difference between Logi Bolt and Logitech Unifying Receiver is Logi Bolt is the new dongle standard for Logitech, and it has supposedly better reception and better security, because the old one could apparently be hacked if you really wanted to hack it. Now, you don't even need the Logi Bolt, because you could just use Bluetooth, and that should work fine. So now, one thing that's interesting, though, is the device switching capability. It is annoying that you have to turn it over and hit this button. And frankly, Logitech should know better, because they have other mice which have the switcher button on the top. But the one thing that they have is something called Logi Flow. And Logi Flow is a software feature where you can take another computer, like let's say you have your desktop here and your laptop sitting over there, and you can configure it so that if you drag the mouse pointer off the right side of your desktop here, or the top or the left or the bottom, or however you want it, it'll drag onto that other desktop, and it will automatically change the Bluetooth profile for you. So you can treat it like one, 2 or 3 computers, like one big desktop. And you can even copy and paste across those devices. So in that respect, it's like a free program that Microsoft has called Mouse Without Borders. Now, the question, though, is when you do that, what about your keyboard? So Logitech had a solution in the form of the MX Keys, which was a non-mechanical keyboard that could use Logi Flow. But no self-respecting person who really cares about productivity or typing wants a non-mechanical keyboard. So the big news is that they have released the Logitech Mx Mechanical, which is Logitech's mechanical keyboard that uses Logi Flow. And there's 2 versions of it. There's the MX Mechanical and the MX Mechanical Mini. The Mechanical Mini has 84 keys. The regular Mechanical, which I'm holding here, has 110 keys. Very configurable using the software, and it has 3 Bluetooth profiles. Sadly, one of my keys fell off, and I cannot find it, which is not... but it allows you to see the switches, so that's cool. So this is available with 3 types of switches. It is available, and they are Kale Chalk V2 switches, which means they're low-profile switches. This is the blue switch version. They have the red switch linear version. Blue switch is clicky, by the way. And the brown switch tactile version, which Logitech claims they have done special work with Logitech to make Kale to make quieter than a regular low-profile brown switch. In our tests, though, we had one with brown switches. It was not that quiet. Logitech is really pushing the brown version. They really like the idea of quiet. They think that a lot of people are concerned about making noise on their phone calls or in their office. I don't see that as a problem, as I come from an office where everybody has clicky keyboards and nobody cares. But and when I'm at home, I really don't care what my family thinks, because I'm going to have my clicks one way or the other. But I mean, now I have my own room in this house for my office when my daughter doesn't come in and claim it as her store. But even when I lived in a 1-bedroom apartment and it was just my wife and me, I would not, I would have, you got to have the thing that makes you feel the best. So this keyboard is low profile, and that is good and bad. The good is it actually has it has 3.2 millimeter travel instead of a normal 3.6, which you would get on regular Kale switches, or 4 on Cherry MX switches. And that is enough, in my view, enough travel to not feel like you're, like it's too shallow, but it actually allowed me to type pretty fast. I was able to really have some of my fastest typing ever on this keyboard. That being said, low profile has some disadvantages. And I really don't know why they chose to go with low profile. I think they thought that that was more attractive. I don't know. I don't know anybody who has any problem with air rights to their desk where they have to worry about the keyboard being another, half an inch higher. But so I've never quite understood the appeal of.
You got to watch out for low flying planes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why people need low profile keyboards at all, um, but it's a thing. And so, it was good for typing, except you can't really replace. I mean, the keycaps come off, but trying to put regular keycaps on, they didn't really fit properly. I mean, they fit over it, but they were too big because I guess the switch is too short. These keycaps are kind of regular ABS keycaps, and they're kind of flat. Don't really like them that much. And then even with the big problem, even with the feet flipped out, this isn't very tall, so you can't use a regular wrist rest with it. So I'm now, a lot of people, that's no big deal. They don't use wrist rests. They don't care. I care a lot about wrist rests. And so my regular HyperX wrist rest, which I love with the cooling gel in it, would not work with this. And I cannot type without a wrist rest. Fortunately, there is a solution. Logitech makes from their prior keyboard this, which is their MX wrist rest, which is kind of soft, kind of leatherette feel here, and it's thin. It's not nearly as comfy as my regular wrist rest, but it gets the job done, and it's about $20. There are other low profile wrist rests on the market, though, that I haven't tested. So maybe if you really want a wrist rest with your low profile, you can find something decent, but I found that to be kind of an annoyance. One more quick thing I want to show is the software, because the software really makes the experience here with the keyboard and mouse. So here you have the Logi option software, and it's showing my mouse, and you can go in and you can see that for different programs, you can actually make different things happen with the different buttons. So like for Chrome, I can make the middle button do any of these things, or I can set up other actions, or I can do ones that are specific to Chrome. And then I can go in and I can say, oh, but for Excel, I want the side button to be, the forward and back to be undo redo, and this to be horizontal scroll. And while they have some apps that they have laid out, they have predefined customizations. Any app that's installed on your computer, you can configure for. I wish, though, that you could configure for different websites in your browser. That would be even better, because I know a lot of us use our browser. Using Google Docs in your browser is not the same thing as, say, using another browser-based tool like Facebook or something. It would be nice if you could configure by that, but you can't. You can set what the scroll wheels do. You can set the DPI here. Easy Switch shows you what these are the different devices I have it connected to. This is Flow, so it shows that this is my computer, and this is my laptop, my desktop, and my laptop, and I have them positioned like this, so I can drag from one to the other, and then just as kind of general settings. And then for the keyboard, you can configure what the keys do. But one thing that's a little bit of a downer is these keys that are outlined in white are the only ones you can custom configure. You cannot, mess with the numpad keys or any of the other keys, which is kind of a shame. The backlighting is strict. There's several different backlighting modes. There's maybe 6 or 7, but it's not RGB. It's just plain white. And then, same thing with the easy switch. Now, one thing that is also a real downer about Flow, even though I really like Flow, is that it only works on devices that can have Logi options installed on them. So that's only Macs and Windows PCs. It does not work on if you have a Raspberry Pi in the mix, or another Linux device, or a phone, or something that your tablet that you want to use. You've got to use the manual. You have to manually switch your connection, which means hitting a button on the keyboard and hitting a button on the mouse. So that's kind of the story. I strongly recommend this mouse. If you don't already have a Logitech MX Master mouse, get the 3S. It is, unless you're a big time gamer, if you want a mouse for productivity, this one is really hard to beat because of the thumb wheel, the electromagnetic smart shift on the regular scroll wheel, and just that heavy customization of the buttons, and just the overall good feel. The keyboard I like, but I only really recommend it if you plan to use Flow a lot, because if you don't plan to use Flow, this is a $169 keyboard that does 3 Bluetooth profiles. You can get other keyboards that are wireless that do more than 3 profiles for less money, like my personal favorite, the Akko 3098B that I have here that's plugged in. So there, I think you really have to like the idea of Flow and using the Logi software. But what do you think?
I have been a big fan of the MX hardware for a while. I've got a first gen mouse that is in my laptop bag. I think we've got a third gen upstairs. Alante just realized that that's the mouse that he uses. I see in the chat. He's like, hey,
Yeah.
that's the mouse I use every day. I just realized it. I knew it looked familiar.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been a big fan of the MX, particularly the mice, for a very long time. I've got 1 or 2 of the keyboards from over the years around. I like the idea of the quiet click, especially with this mouse, which is or mouse. What's this called? A microphone that is incredibly sensitive on sound. So I like the idea of the quiet clicks, because I can occasionally, when I'm going back and re-listening to the show, I can occasionally hear myself click when I have to. I use the Stream Deck for
Let's
most
do
things.
a test. Can you hear it now?
I hear something, but it doesn't sound like a mouse click. I don't know what it sounds like. It sounds like you've got like a solo cup and you're pushing in the sides on it.
Oh, okay. Well, that's not good. I mean, I put it right in front of the microphone, though. So,
Okay.
So how about now that it's not right in front of it?
I know to listen for it, so I'm hearing it, but I bet if you were to do it in 15 minutes, nobody would notice.
Yeah. I mean, I did test this with my coworkers on a Google Meet call, and Google Meet by default has noise canceling on it. I don't know if our setup here has any noise canceling, but Google Meet has that built in, as do a bunch of other things. Zoom has that built in and on by default. With it by default, neither the original, which sounds like this, nor the new one made any noise that they could hear. Once I turned it off, once I deliberately turned off the default setting, they could hear it. They could hear either one, but the quiet one was a little bit less obvious.
Yeah.
So, the quiet switch is nice, but I wouldn't upgrade for that. I think having the more DPI has been helpful with my really big monitor setup. So that's nice. But I think overall, if you have a 3, I wouldn't bother to spend $100 to upgrade. But if you don't have either one, then certainly get the 3S. The 3 is going to be going off the market, they say anyway. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely good. The keyboard I like, but it's probably it's a good choice. But if you don't want to spend $169, if you're not in love with with Logi Flow, then there are other choices in the market.
Yeah, gotcha. I liked the UI for the Flow stuff, like as opposed to Mouse Without Borders, which I understand is a garage project that was somebody playing around in their spare time. But I liked the UI for that.
Flow,
I'm going to investigate it anyway.
Flow works I really like Flow, but what I don't like, and when I met with Logitech, I complained to them about this, is that it only works on Mac and Windows. So if you're like me and you want to like use,
does it work cross Mac and Windows?
I haven't tested it, but okay. I believe it's supposed to.
That's something the Mouse Without Borders doesn't do.
I haven't tested it, but I believe it is supposed to. Okay. Now, I would be curious to know if you could do that and maintain the clipboard between the two as well. So I don't have a Mac here to test it with, so that's been my problem. I test it with 2 Windows machines, although it is 2 different versions of Windows. It's working for sure. 11 and 10 it works together. So, but it is frustrating that you can't use Flow in Windows, and then you got to turn it over and hit this button on the bottom. And they really should give you the ability to configure like this button up here or whatever to be the switcher.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Do it. I met the product manager who's in charge of this, and I told him that, and he said he would look into doing it. So if it happens, it was me. Anyway, so that's the so. Do we have more on these? You can read my full reviews of them on tomshardware.com. They're live there right now.
Fantastic. Well, I've heard a lot about it. I've seen a lot of writing out in the wild on it, and I've gotten some stuff from Logitech on it. But getting to see the hardware in motion and hear your thoughts on it definitely is helpful to me in making a possible future decision. Especially in an environment like ours with software and gaming and the studio, mice wear out. Yeah.
Yep.
Alanteza, an artist, and we kill mice, so it's good to know that the new version of the mouse is solid. So, thank you for that view, and as always, Avram, I look forward to what we talk about next time. This week's Extra Life on F5 Live is proudly powered by EXA. EXA brings the latest technology to gamers, offering the most immersive products for the ultimate gaming experience. They've compiled the best elements of cutting-edge ENC technology, Bluetooth 5.0, 7.1 surround, plus extra features, and they don't break the bank. You can get headsets for Xbox, PlayStation, Switch, and PC right now by going to f5live.tv/exa. All right, if you've been watching the show, you might notice that Alante has joined us here, and the laptop was in his frame. This is... I warned everybody earlier that we've made some changes to the studio, and we're still trying to figure out how all of it works, and the laptop will be a challenge. So, good to know. This week was Sony's State of Play event. Normally in June, what we see is a big, splashy press event at E3, but since E3 2022 has been canceled both in person and digitally, and probably in perpetuity, is our guess, Sony decided to do a standard State of Play. And by standard, I mean they basically did their E3 press conference, but streamed it a little early. A lot of the other studios and companies are doing their broadcasts within a window of the Summer Games Fest, which is scheduled for this coming week, I think.
Believe so.
I can find out here in a second.
Pretty soon.
Yeah, it is coming up. Yeah, their website's not the best. So, anyway, it doesn't matter. It's coming up, I think, this week. June 9, 10, 11, 12. Microsoft's will be on the 12th. Geek Week for Netflix is June 10th. A lot of companies are basing it in here, but Sony did not. And so they're getting all of our attention today, which is probably the reason why they did it. Not because of us, but because everybody is giving their undivided attention to Sony. They announced some cool stuff.
It was a good move.
Not even necessarily announced, but gave us new information and video on new stuff. I know his favorite. I don't even have to ask. So I think we should just get into Street Fighter 6.
Oh, of course. I mean, the reveal trailer for Street Fighter 6 showed off quite a few things. Showed us some gameplay, showed us some mechanics that the mechanics don't look new. They look refreshed,
Polished.
They look really polished. They look like they function a little differently now. A lot of Street Fighter players from the past, if you've played like Third Strike and things like that, you might notice that there looks like there's a parry system now. Looks like I'm off, but there's a parry system that looks like it's returned. That's universal for everyone. Street Fighter 5 doesn't have a parry system, but certain characters had parries, like Ryu and I think Gil had one with their V systems. But this one seems to be bringing back some kind of crazy parry mechanic that everybody seems to be able to utilize, and it looks like they've got some kind of Guilty Gear Strive-esque counter system along with it, where when they hit this big hit, it freeze frames the fight, zooms in really close, and then bam, start your freestyle combo. So, and I mean they've really brought the visuals. They started this visual with like the black and white red ink, and it's evolved with each game, but now it's just big splashes of colors everywhere. It almost like Splatoon style, you know, like some of the ink splashes on the ground, even, which is totally new.
And yeah, they talked about that a lot. I don't know. Real quick, we're going to make a change in here so Alante can be seen since his camera is failing on us for some reason. Avram, did you get to see any of the state of play?
Not a lot, because I'm not a big PlayStation player. But actually, I should say I'm not a PlayStation player at all right now since I gave up my PS3. But I know folks were, I don't know, some people were upset that Spider-Man is coming to the PC.
Why be upset about that? I'm excited about it.
Me too.
I mean, that would mean I could actually play it, which would be cool for me. I think the thing is that I guess folks feel that it was an exclusive for PS. Was it a PS5 exclusive or a PS4 exclusive?
Depends on the title.
And that it was some kind of broken promise or whatever to folks that now it's suddenly going to be available for PC.
Yeah, well, you know, gamers are a little odd sometimes, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah.
So, you know, it is what it is.
I mean, I get it in the sense that, like, without exclusives, you kind of there's a blurrier and blurrier line between Xbox, PS5, and PC. So without exclusives on one or the other, it's very easy to make the case that you should just get whatever you want, or whatever is available, or whatever is cheap, which is not great for the PC world because we're the least cheap. But
true.
You know,
honestly,
but it would be an argument to getting an Xbox.
I'm pretty happy that that the shift has been kind of going more towards PC. Like I'm right now, I'm kind of in the boat of PC and Switch, and that seems to really kind of be the sweet spot this current generation. You know, because a lot of games are coming over to PC. And it takes a little time for it to get there, but a lot of games are coming over to PC. Nintendo stays in their realm, and I've got that one. So, you know, it's I feel like this generation in particular, it's good to be a PC
indeed
player for the most part.
Yeah,
if you could get a graphics card, which now you can.
Yeah. Sure, you can. Yeah.
Until recently, it wasn't so easy, but the last couple of months, the market is definitely improving. So if you have the money to spend, you can get a graphics card for close to MSRP.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. So on the Street Fighter topic, I don't know if you mentioned this because I was panicking a little bit about the camera. The commentary.
Yeah. So
I'm shocked by this. I think we all know in past games, whether it be fighting games or not, Madden is kind of famous for generic nonsense commentary.
Boom shakalaka.
Right. That you do a certain thing, they say a certain thing, and after you've played it a little while, you want to punch your TV. But that doesn't seem to be the case here. This seems like there is a huge library of legitimate commentary recorded by actual like game callers that's more like AI driven on when it should and should not play versus just, you know, there's 3 things that happen if you make a touchdown.
Yeah.
Madden's a great example, an easy example of how it works.
And even some fighting games like let's say Marvel vs. Capcom 3, for example, they had a couple of commentary voiceovers that would lay out very generic things that would happen. If the fight goes into the air, they say air combo. If they say, you know, a counter attack happened, they'll say a counter. What kind of damage are you gonna do? You know that, and Capcom has had that kind of stuff for a long time. Really, only Capcom, now that I think about it. But them actually, and I mean they're using a voiceover of someone who has been he goes by the name of Vicious, has been doing commentary for their actual Capcom Pro Tours That's, to me, that's exciting. Using someone that we have seen and heard over the years, you know, for Street Fighter V and other games as well. I mean, good for him. You know,
but he's also not exclusive, which is one of the things that I thought was interesting. The video of a new commentator has entered, which I thought was pretty cool. There's going to be multiple, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah, so I definitely wonder who else they're going to use. I mean, they announced one English voice actor and they announced one Japanese voice actor.
Okay,
and they both sound really amazing. They both kind of bring different energies, so that'll be fun to kind of witness. But I love the direction of this game so far. The hub looks amazing. It looks like they've got a good campaign mode going on that people have really been asking for. You know, we've had these really competitive fighting games where it was just nothing but straight fighting.
Yeah.
All right, cool. That's great, but now we need to get into some content that's going to make these games worth the $60 that we're playing, plus, you know,
multiplayer and story.
Yes.
There's been a lot of push towards that across the industry.
Yeah.
Before we move on, I'm going to need you to grab that camera and unplug it before I throw it, because it keeps beeping at us. So another franchise that we're all familiar with that we saw some new stuff on was Resident Evil.
Yes.
No new games, but 2 new takes on previous titles. The first is Resident Evil 4 Remake, which is it is a remake. It's not a remaster. The story is going to change. The gameplay is going to change. It is therefore kind of a new game.
It's a little scary. Because 4 is one of their best games.
So they could screw that up.
They kind of they had a really good start with the Resident Evil remakes, and then it got a little rocky. So, you know, we're all kind of fans of the franchise are a little afraid that this may be another misstep.
We don't need a GTA remaster.
Nope. So it's but I mean, it looks good. You know, they're using the current Leon model and giving him his the outfit from the original Resident Evil 4. You know, the brown leather jacket. Which that was kind of cool to see. So that we'll see.
It also appears to be done in the new re-engine, the RE engine.
Yep.
Which is what Resident Evil 7, Village, which we'll talk about in a second, are done in.
Meant to mention Street Fighter 6
is also
in the RE engine.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
they're killing it. I mean, this engine is solid.
Yeah.
So it's, you know.
That's what made those splatters that you were talking about possible, apparently. I read a whole thing from Capcom on how that was working.
Yep.
And then we have The Village, Resident Evil Village. Nothing new there, except that it's coming to PlayStation VR 2.
Yes.
So
get a nice...
interesting new perspective, quite literally.
Get a nice first-person view of Lady Dimitrescu.
Oh no. I hadn't. Oh no.
That's what all the gamers want, even though she always shows up in the game for like 10 minutes. But whatever.
The web is going to be a mess for a while. So with that, let's move on to something else. How about Final Fantasy 16?
Yeah. So they finally showed off some gameplay.
Yes.
Of Final Fantasy 16. It is gorgeous. It is an absolutely beautiful game. The gameplay looks really interactive and solid and fast.
Back to Final Fantasy.
Yes.
Not these weird little side quests that the studio's been going on. Right. But back to Final Fantasy proper.
Yeah.
They've been remastering old titles. They've been doing different types of games in the universe, but this appears to be like a proper Final Fantasy.
They've been you can see
getting punched a little bit.
You could see the steps that they've taken since, I want to say, it started with Crisis Core, Final Fantasy, one of the side quest games. But it's that battle system has evolved between Final Fantasy 13, Final Fantasy 15, into Final Fantasy 7 Remake, and and this is where we're at now. It's Final Fantasy 16, and I think it looks really good.
Yeah, it really does.
Yeah. Those were the major titles.
Yeah, lots of stuff coming to VR. There was a huge focus on VR, not just Village, but we've got Horizon Call of the Mountain, which will be exclusive to PSVR 2.
Yep.
We've got The Walking... Too many words. Oh my god, too many words. Okay. The Walking Dead, Saints and Sinners, Chapter 2, Retribution. That's too many words, guys.
2 colons.
Yeah.
Very strange.
They need an editor.
Very strange.
Anyway, that's coming to both original PSVR and PSVR 2. If you have a first generation on the PS4, you'll have that this year. And if you have the new version, you have to wait till next year. Ha!
And there were some nice indie games mixed in there too. I'm trying to remember the title that had the little fox character.
The fox character or the little cat?
It might be a little cat. Not sure, but it was one word.
Yeah, the cat is called Stray.
Not that one.
Okay.
Not that one.
Okay.
This one was it was an action RPG. Tunic. I see it.
I was going to say, the other one on here that's not Roller Dome.
Which Roller Dome
was
is interesting.
Tunic. Yeah, but it certainly wasn't about a little fox character.
No, that's very different.
That one's coming in September.
Yeah.
To PS4 and PS5.
Yeah, so okay, that's pretty. It looks beautiful. Visually, it looks great. Gameplay looks pretty awesome. Nice dungeon crawler type of game. So
Roller Dome coming officially to PS4 and PS5 in fall of this year.
which is not the first rollerblade game we've seen.
Nope, because we were watching one the other night.
I'm like, what's this push for rollerblade games? I mean, I ain't mad at it, but it's weird.
Are you excited about roller derby on the PlayStation there, Avram?
Oh, I can't wait. I don't like games like that so much because it's like, if it's something that you could do yourself, not that I could really rollerblade, but if it was something I really cared about doing, like I could go out and rollerblade. It's also sort of like bowling and pool on your computer, video games. It's like you could just do it yourself, right? Like I try to get video games that allow me to do stuff that like I wouldn't personally be able to do easily,
like to be a
flying
cat,
a jet fighter. Yes, I couldn't do that personally. I could watch one, but I can, I think that is the fun of that is the fun of good video games. It kind of takes you away, sort of like a good movie, which is why I cannot bear to watch movies where people just talk to each other, because I can talk to people all day long. If there's no explosions or decapitations, like why am I paying $10 for it?
Agreed.
For $12.
Agreed.
I mean, I could talk to people in my own house, but but you
can't have John Wick 4 in your own house. I mean,
I hope not.
I was gonna say,
that one I guess you could, but you shouldn't.
Right.
Right. Exactly. So
we'll add that caveat.
We'll add that caveat. So I mean, I feel that way about things like rollerblade. Like, couldn't you just do it yourself?
But what about roller derby?
I mean, if you had friends.
You know what's funny is the rollerblade game that they showed off in the state of play is a little bit of John Wick mixed in there. it had some guns and stuff, and you're flipping around and shooting enemies. It's really crazy. I was like, okay, all right.
So, what was your big takeaway?
I think PlayStation killed it. Mm-hmm. This was easily, I think this was their best state of play, and I think
that seems to be the industry's general consensus.
Yeah, and I think they need to they need to understand that this is the kind of stuff that they need to bring for their future state of plays. They had great selections. The presentations were fantastic. Solid 9 out of 10 for me.
Nice. I gotta tell you, I think everybody knows that PlayStation is not my general home. I do have them, but it's not the place I usually go. But this was a heck of a presentation.
Yeah.
It's hard to deny. I mean, this was in reality the way people tried to pretend the PS4 reveal E3 presentation was. Because that one wasn't great. It was mostly Hip Hop Gamer that made that presentation interesting, shouting from the audience. Outside of that, it wasn't that great of a presentation. They just tried to undercut Microsoft from the night before or that morning or whatever it was. But I think this was as good as they tried to pretend that one was. Just absolutely killed it. And now we've got, 7 days until Microsoft's? We got a week from right now until Microsoft's. Ooh. I have a feeling they're going to have to make some changes.
Yeah. So I've heard a few rumors, and they sound okay.
Mm-hmm.
But
although, in fairness, outside of xCloud getting leaked pretty early in development, and Spartan, is that the name of the streaming stick? Outside of those two things, they haven't had any big leaks for a while. So
maybe that's a good thing.
Yeah, it's possible that they've just been controlling the narrative. It was pretty funny to see them Xbox Game Pass, when they announced the event, Xbox Game Pass replied on Twitter and said, "Oops, were we supposed to prepare something?"
I remember that.
Which suggests to me that they've probably got something big coming to the Game Pass platform. So
I mean, I guess they're going to need something big to come to Game Pass platform, because coincidentally, I don't know if you guys saw this because it was such a minor kerfuffle on the internet, but we
love minor kerfuffles.
Right, so maybe you saw this because it's an Xbox related minor kerfuffle. One of my coworkers, he doesn't work for Tom's Hardware, he works for Tom's Guide. This guy Tony Polanco put up a tweet the other day saying, like, I canceled the Xbox Game Pass because it doesn't really have any AAA titles. And
I saw
a whole bunch of people went like nuts about it. The fact that he said he was canceling Xbox Game Pass. And then I guess one other person canceled Xbox Game Pass, and all of a sudden it was a big story that somebody publicly canceled their Xbox Game Pass.
I feel like there might have been an article with one of those titles I canceled.
Yes. Well,
Xbox Game Pass is a great deal, but I still canceled anyway. Here's why. Something like that.
Somebody else did it,
Yep.
but
Yep.
he just tweeted, and it went
Okay.
like somebody else decided to make an article about the fact that he canceled his Xbox. I don't know. It's like his Game Pass. I mean, I guess there's some people who really love that stuff. I mean, who really care. I guess what's to say, but anyway, so yeah, I mean, they definitely are, weak on the AAA titles, so I guess people are going to be for Game Pass. So I guess people are going to be looking out to maybe see if they are going to bring something more exciting to Game Pass.
There's a potential for the future, once those deals come to pass with Blizzard Activision.
That's true.
So there's potential, but
ActiBliz opens up a lot of possibilities, and there might be a big deal about that at not E3.
Yeah, sure enough.
I swear, if the official hashtag for this is not hashtag not E3, I'm gonna be so disappointed. I'm gonna start using it.
That was a lot of knots.
Hashtag not E3.
Yeah.
We've been predicting this for a little while, and here we are.
They need to embrace it. I'll make a shirt. I promise I will.
Summer Games Fest is literally calling themselves the replacement E3.
Mm-hmm.
So, embrace it. I don't know. Anyway, we're going to be following next week and whenever the rest of the things happen, because again, it's all very strange the way Summer Games Fest is going on. We're going to be following it here in and amongst our own other gaming stuff.
Mm-hmm.
As if you've seen, we've got our strike stuff going right now. So we're going to be a little back and forth between the two brands, but we're going to keep an eye on Games Fest because basically we're gonna get a good view of what the rest of the year looks like, which is really what Sony got us started with, which is so weird because Microsoft usually opens E3, so it's very strange to be starting with Sony this year. But we'll get to see what the rest of the year looks like. A lot of these titles that we mentioned are 22.
Yep.
Some as early as September, some fall, some holiday, but a lot of it's 22. And like we said, a lot of it looks good. I'm looking forward to seeing what the rest of the studios have to show us and what Microsoft has to show next week, right before our show, of course. So we'll be coming into F5 next week in a little bit of panic because Microsoft, I think, will just be coming down at that point. So anyway, lots of cool stuff. We've got obviously we've got an article. We've also put together a playlist of all of the individual segments from the State of Play for all of the games that we talked about in the order that they are in the article. So definitely check that out at PLUGHITZlive.com/the-upstream. Alante, thank you for joining us for this topic.
Absolutely.
And we will see you back next time. We got a big gaming topic, probably next week, talking to Microsoft and the rest of Games Fest.
Yeah, quite possibly. See you guys later. Good to see you, Avram.
Mm-hmm. Great to see you. Happy birthday.
Yeah, thank you. 35. It looks good on me.
It does.
Bye, world.
This week's news from the tubes on F5 Live is proudly powered by Malwarebytes. Whether you use a PC, a Mac, or a mobile device, Malwarebytes Premium is the company's strongest protection ever. It fights threats that traditional antivirus software can't stop. It actively blocks threats like worms, rogues, dialers, spyware, exploits, bots, and a whole lot more. It allows you to use your computer and mobile devices with confidence and peace of mind. To learn more, they get a special price right now. You can go to f5live.tv/malwarebytes. And we're going to stay on that topic right now because an interesting exploit, rogue, Trojan, however you want to define this particular one, was revealed to the public this week, as most of the ones that we have talked about over the last couple of years have been. It is cryptocurrency based, and this one is on two fronts. The first one is the malicious one, and the one that kind of matters. It is a clipboard hijacker. Now, clipboard hijackers are not new. They've been around for decades. Traditionally, what they do is they watch your clipboard for things that look like nonsense, which generally mean passwords, and then send them off to a third-party server or store them locally to send when you're online if you happen to not be online at the time. This one works differently, though, because this one is doing clipboard injection. What it's looking for is cryptocurrency wallet addresses. And so the primary reason why you would have a cryptocurrency wallet address in your clipboard is because you're about to send that wallet money. And so what happens is you copy the wallet address, you go over to your other thing, you paste the wallet address. In that interim, this Clipminer software has said, hey, that's a Bitcoin wallet address. And it goes through its more than 4,000 wallet addresses that all belong to these scammers. It finds one that starts with and ends with numbers that are the same or similar to the one in your clipboard, and it replaces it. So by the time you get to the thing, you paste the wallet address, you hit send, the money hasn't gone to the person you intended, it goes to these people instead. Clever, though diabolical. They have, from what a couple of security researchers have determined based on flows in and out of the wallets and what they contained at the time that the report was written, they had stolen at least $1.7 million worth of cryptocurrency from unsuspecting people who were just trying to paste a wallet address into a thing. Definitely not great. The other aspect of it is certainly minor in comparison, and that was an unfortunate pun that I apologize for. It runs a crypto miner in the background. That pun was not intended. So, drive by and install crypto miners are nothing new. We've talked about them for years. I ran an experiment a couple of years ago. God, under the last cast of the show is when I did this, so that aged it out pretty good. So they've been around for a long time. Drive-bys on JavaScript on websites or things that install. YouTube ads were doing it for a while. Yeah, that's nothing new, and it's not terribly harmful in the long run. Your resources might be used, your consumption might go up a little bit, and it's so common that even Norton had one built into a Norton product at one point. So, but this clipboard thing is a real problem.
That's really insidious. Well, I guess this points to two things. One, obviously, make sure when you paste something, it is check it over against the original. Although most people wouldn't think to do that for obvious reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Two, this points to a problem with paying people via Bitcoin, which is that there's no security in the transaction, right? I mean, if this, for example, happened with a credit card transaction, you might have some recourse.
Yeah.
You might
be able to call Visa or MasterCard or whoever and say, hey, this is what happened. They might be able to void the transaction. Since nothing happens on demand when it comes to credit cards, partially for this reason.
Right.
Plus, a lot of that's insured. Cryptocurrency is not.
So that's why this type of scam, that's why maybe it's not the best thing to pay people with, because you don't have that type of security in your cryptocurrency. I mean, I guess you have more privacy and all of that, and it's its own marketplace, but there's a lot of scams out there because in some ways it's the Wild West, and there aren't these type of protections that you get with other forms of payment.
Yeah, absolutely. We talked a couple of months ago about a dating site cryptocurrency scam that is still going around. I've been running experiments lately to see if it's still happening. It's absolutely still happening, and we're trying to keep the list of websites updated on that because there are so many. In fact, over the last couple of years, I've got PR emails dating back to 2019 that showed that Americans are losing north of $1 billion per year to cryptocurrency scams. That's a huge industry. And there's nothing you can do about it. Once it happens, it happens. That's it.
Wow. Well, yeah, I mean, that's why also we've seen some theft going on with NFTs.
Mm-hmm.
Although, I'm sorry, I still think NFTs are a complete waste of money. if anybody thinks that NFTs are worth their time, there's a video I would love to invite you to watch from one of my favorite YouTube channels called Legal Eagle, where it's a lawyer who sort of evaluates different things and talks about all of the legal problems with NFTs, because they're not really, there's no standard for what an NFT actually represents. So therefore you could, what your NFT is worth is kind of, there's no real legal enforcement of it, but whatever. Yeah, this is, I should strongly suggest people take their cryptocurrency and turn it into some other type of currency before they start paying for things with it.
Yeah, for sure. There's in the blockchain world, like you said, that's cryptocurrency and NFTs. There's so many easy scams to get people. I mean, you've got in the NFT world, you've got Patton Oswalt, who found out that somebody was selling his stand-up as an NFT without his knowledge. And on the other hand, you've got Seth Green, who somehow had, I don't know, one of the Bored Apes or I don't know, something stolen from him that he was using as part of a show, a web show. I don't know. I didn't quite follow it. I know it was somehow involved, and he technically doesn't have the rights to it anymore, and therefore can't make the show. And those are just two celebrities on either end of the scam stuff there. With cryptocurrency, you've got a lot of scams. You've got phishing schemes. Which is how I think the Seth Green thing worked, because I think that was part of that social media phishing thing. You've got this thing, right, where you're just getting your wallet addresses replaced. There's so much going on. It's definitely, like you said, the Wild West. Now, in fairness, the way that this Clipminer is being distributed is through cracked and pirated software. So the bad actors are generally only targeting bad actors. However, it's a little different, right? I guess these guys are paying for their software anyway, just not in the way they intended. But yeah, it's not great. This is the second one that's been like this, and current theory is that it's likely the same people after organizations like Malwarebytes, who was involved in the last one, recognized the Trojan file for CryptoCube. In early 2021, it disappeared, and Clipminer showed up seemingly in its place, and it's a very similar software. So it's probably the same people. This one's now been identified, so expect a new name to show up, possibly a new distribution method. So always keep an eye on what's happening when you're online. I think that's always our point in these topics. This week's DRM Not Included in F5 Live is proudly powered by Amazon Prime. We all know you get free shipping with Prime, but you get a whole lot more. In fact, you get free music with Amazon Prime Music, free TV, movies, and documentaries with Amazon Prime Video, free games, and a free Twitch subscription to support the content creator of your choice with Amazon Prime Gaming, and of course, a whole lot more. To learn more and to get a 30-day free trial if you're not a subscriber, plus quick links to these features and more, you can go to f5live.tv/prime. A couple weeks ago, we found out that Netflix was having some subscriber issues. In particular, they had their first subscriber loss in more than a decade. They attributed it to things that the numbers are a little dubious on. One of those things was password sharing. They believed that some of their revenue loss was because of password sharing, and they were going to start enforcing They weren't changing their policies, simply going to start enforcing the policy on an account only being for a household, and a household being people that live together. They started mostly in South America in a couple of countries. Chile, Costa Rica, Peru have been some of the most high profile where they've been testing some new policies. And as you might expect, not been going well. The way it works is if they believe they have identified that you are sharing a password, you will get a notification. You either have to verify that you are not, or pay an extra $3 per additional user on your account per month. In these countries, some interesting things have been happening. Apparently, if you call support, support has the ability to give you a verification code to bypass the $3 a month. And the people in the South American support seem to not care at all and are just giving out these codes. You call and say, hey, no, that's... my sister must have just logged in, opened it on her phone at a friend's house. Okay, here's your verification code. The end. But more interestingly, a lot of people aren't getting the message at all. So their detection's not been great. And the ones that are being detected and are not getting codes, they're getting support people who are sticklers, a lot of them are just canceling. Which is the opposite of the solution that they're looking for. Obviously, Netflix is specifically trying to stem subscriber loss. That was the whole thing, right? And somehow it's driving more subscriber loss. It seems like this was either not thought out or some sort of panic move. What do you think, Avram?
I think they should hire Metallica drummer Lars Ulrich to be in charge.
Elaborate.
Well, you know, he's the guy behind telling people, behind trying to sue people for, behind trying to stop people from sharing their MP3s. So, I mean, he has experience in, in how to maintain your reputation while punishing users, punishing fans who've done you wrong. So, maybe they should hire him to be in charge of this effort.
Certainly in charge of the public perception aspect of it.
Right, complain about how people are stealing, whatever. I mean, it is a problem I'm sure, and Netflix and other providers are going to have to, find more creative technical ways to deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
What they might choose to do, could you sort of geo locate someone's connection? Like, oh, okay, which I know then means that you could not use it on the go, or if you went on vacation or whatever. But theoretically, it does seem to be
part. It does seem to be part of what's happening here, because legitimately, you can call support and say my sister has been using it on her phone at a friend's house, and they just go, okay, here's a code. That's it. So there does seem to be some either geo or IP tracking involved in it, but they don't seem confident in it for many of the reasons that we just said.
Yeah, they could have, of course, try to roll back, what you could do with mobile devices, but then you have,
it's where a lot of their business happens.
Yeah, I guess theoretically, if I were them, I would do something like they do with offline downloads, like maybe your phone, it can continue to use Netflix if it's bit checked into the Prime location within the last week or something like that.
Okay, it's an interesting solution.
Your phone continues to be authorized as long as you've been back to home base within the last so often. Now, that if you go on a vacation, that's no good.
Sure.
If you are a person who travels a lot, that's no good. So I don't know how you do that. Maybe they come up with a price tier for this, and it's like you have a travel plan or something like that. Now, that's not. I mean, that's a lot of going around. That's a lot of taking away things now that people take for granted, which is just that it's just going to work wherever you go.
Right.
So, I mean, it's they created a tough situation for themselves. You know what would really solve some of their problems, though? Having some better content.
Right, and that's part of the problem, right? It's the most expensive of all the competitors, at $15.49, and
right.
And the content has been sliding. Those are the two things that I point out as probably the driver of their subscriber loss, right? Yes, we've got Stranger Things, Umbrella Academy, and Stranger Things. Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
the
honestly,
floor is lava is fun, but it's not going to keep me subscribed to the service.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I think I would. My friends and colleagues at Tom's Guide actually periodically come out with articles saying what you should cancel this month or something like that, because people are trying to figure out like what to keep and what to cancel every month. And you know, after second part of Stranger Things comes on, if it were up to just me, I would cancel.
It's
my
on my
wife
agenda.
would like to continue it. Would like to continue. I think she still has things she wants to see on Netflix or whatever, but I would cancel it. Really, I don't see the point. There's not a lot of original content on Netflix that's very good. I mean, they throw a lot of money at junk. Like,
yes,
you know, they've had a couple of good series in the case, but then there's a lot more that's not good. So
the fact that every time we talk about this, we basically come back to the same two series is not a great sign.
That's at least what you and I want to see. But
that's not a great sign, right? Because on some of the other services, we could probably name things that we want to watch significantly more.
You got it. You got it. So let's see. What have I watched recently? Well, I've watched I've watched Star Trek: Strange New Worlds and Picard. Okay, that's the Paramount Plus, which is cheaper.
Which brings us in line officially with our recommendations on Netflix. Continue.
Right, Obi-Wan Kenobi. I watched the Obi-Wan show on Disney Plus. And on Disney, I mean, and I'm sure I'll be watching Ms. Marvel. So
She-Hulk.
There's enough She-Hulk. So there's enough. There's enough stuff on Disney Plus. Now maybe one of Netflix's
they've got solid franchises that they can build on. Netflix hasn't tried that, right? Like they could build off of Stranger Things if they wanted to. I think it would ruin the experience, but they could milk that cow a lot harder than they are.
I think yeah, they could. I mean, I think the other problem is that they've made some attempts. What was that show that the superhero show they had last year where they canceled it like 2 days after it came out?
Yeah. I can't think of what it is. I can see the poster for it.
It wasn't very good. But they spent like hundreds of millions. They threw a lot of good money out for bad stuff. Although they had some nerve. I think somebody there was complaining that they shouldn't have given money for Martin Scorsese to make The Irishman, which was not really up my alley. But I mean, of all of the low class stuff that you do, to be complaining about making like a Martin Scorsese movie with Al Pacino in it is a bit rich in my opinion. Like, let's worry about all the money you spend on, like, you know, Red Notice or whatever. I mean, you know, those things are cute, but ultimately very forgettable. I mean, one of the other things that Netflix I think has as a problem is, and maybe the price is part of it, but like other services that I get, I buy for a year, so I don't think about them month to month.
Sure.
Maybe Netflix should do that. The should give you a discount for buying for a year, because Disney Plus, Paramount Plus, BritBox, and Acorn TV, all of which I have, are all pay for a year. Now, it's not very much for a year. I think, like, Paramount is something like $60, $70, something like that. Same thing with like Acorn TV, BritBox. But like, so if like a month goes by and I don't use anything on it, I don't feel bad because I paid for the year. And I know over the course of the year I'm gonna use it. But
also, I really like. I don't know how it looks on other platforms, but I really like the way the app works on the Xbox.
which the Paramount Plus? Yeah.
I like the animation when you select one of the networks. There's like a zoom in coloring animation that happens that I really like.
Oh, I didn't get that today. I didn't get that today. We were using it. We were just using it today with my son. Although we didn't really select a network. We selected a show, so I don't know if that matters. We were on a Roku.
So there's the. I know I shouldn't continue to call it this, but I always call it the idiot bar at the top that has the most recent things, and then there's the tiles for networks below it. And when you just select on, you don't have to even select it. Just when you go down to it before you get down to the shows, you go to it and like the CBS logo is first, and it does like this thing, and then it goes back out when you unselect it. It's pretty cool. I like the animation. And again, it might only be Xbox.
I will check where I will probably be watching something on it very soon. So I will check and see if it does that on Roku, which is what we primarily use in this house. But
it's my favorite part of the app on the Xbox. I love the little animations. But I stopped working for like 3 days and it annoyed me.
Just from the Star Trek stuff, that's enough for us to have Paramount, right?
100%.
Just from the Marvel and Star Wars stuff is enough for us to have Disney Plus, and then you have things that come on a couple times a year, like Encanto, which is like okay, like so. Sure. But Netflix, Netflix. There's not a lot on there. It's like, oh, I really want to see Netflix. Yeah. It doesn't have. The thing is, it's trying to be all things to all people, and it's like one of their shows. It's a master of none. So, it has nothing it's particularly known for, right?
Although, ironically, one of the shows of theirs that I have enjoyed.
I mean, they've had shows here and there that were fun, but it's I don't know. It just doesn't have an identity. So even if you do end up watching stuff on it, you're kind of like, what did I watch? What did I see?
The only identity that they seem to be, I don't know if it's on purpose or on accident, and they've got a series parodying themselves, which I don't know was a great idea, is true crime. I mean, that has either purposefully or accidentally become a big part of their identity. They do a lot of those documentaries that don't really cover the content.
Some of them have been good. Mm-hmm. So a lot of those have been good, although they're not coming out with them frequently enough for me to subscribe for that reason. Yeah. But yeah, they've definitely, like, that's what I've ended up watching on Netflix quite a bit. But yeah, it's not, I don't think it's enough, but still okay. And they've done some interesting experiments with interactive shows. Sure. That I don't think anybody else has, but still, I don't think it's that's great. Have you tried Cat Burglar?
Is that the one that we talked about?
Yeah, I think we talked about it. It's a cartoon where you make choices.
Here's the interesting thing that I've learned about that. Same producer as Black Mirror Bandersnatch.
Ah.
That was a shock. Apparently, kids content is where he started, and Black Mirror was almost an accident, and he got the opportunity to go back into kids content.
I mean, I don't know. That cat burglar can get really seriously hurt. I don't know if this is kids content. No,
Okay.
I'm kidding. I played it with my. It looks a lot like a Warner Brothers.
Okay.
But
yeah, no, I haven't done it.
Yeah.
It is on my agenda though. Especially after our conversation, and then like a week later, I learned that it's either the same producer or director or something that put it all together. And it was like an evolution of what they did with Black Mirror, which I thought was fascinating. So it's definitely on my short list for those reasons. But yeah, I don't know if Netflix is going to be able to dig themselves out of this password sharing thing. They've made such a big deal about it, and it doesn't seem to be working. They've got other problems that they should be addressing. Yes, they've canceled some big budget nonsense projects over the last couple of weeks. We're apparently into the... I saw a thing. We're apparently into the dozens now of shows that have been canceled, either pre or during production. They canceled one thing that is complete, which I think is a mistake, because I can't imagine that uploading it to the FTP server could be that expensive that it was time to cancel that, but I don't know. But like, they're on a lumberjack spree here. They are just chopping stuff down, possibly actually addressing the throwing too much money at nothing issue. Maybe. We'll see.
you know, I remember we talked about this a couple of years ago about the amount of content they were putting out. I said something at one time like, how do they know that this content is actually keeping subscribers? Because the best Netflix subscriber from an economic perspective is one who views nothing and just keeps their account going.
Right.
But and it's turned out that the quality of the content has proven to matter because people are canceling it. People actually are canceling it. So now all of a sudden they're deciding that they're going to instead of doubling down on content, cut down on content, and that is a recipe for decline. I think what's going on and what we've noticed is there's a lot of competition. Competition has franchises and identities that people care about. Netflix is everything. It tries to be all things to all people, but is pretty much has pretty much no identity. And now it's cutting down on the content that it's giving. So I expect it will lose more. It will lose more people. They need to probably find something that is like the thing that people feel like they can't live without. It also probably hurts them that they don't do things in a week by week basis, whereas others do.
Yeah. Most of their stuff doesn't come out weekly. So there have been a couple, but yeah, generally they just dump it all on you. Like The Circle, they do in like 4 episode batches across 3 weeks, 4, and then the finale the 3rd week. But that's not quite the same, right? That doesn't drag out the desire the way something like Star Trek does, or Obi-Wan. I want to say The Mandalorian, but I knew that one wasn't running right now.
Right. So like they get like Disney Plus gets like a 5 weeks or something out of that show, where people who want to watch the show, they got to stay subscribed for those 5 weeks. You know, Netflix, it's like,
and then they have the next big thing lined up right behind it, right? Paramount Plus is another great example with the Star Trek stuff. They overlap the shows 1 week, the way their schedule is built right now. They're overlapping them one at a time. You know, there's 1 week of overlap, and their schedule is filled through like September or October with new Star Trek stuff.
Right, exactly. So like, you know, you're paying to watch one show at a time, but at least you're getting one show at a time. So.
And for less.
Even Amazon.
For less money.
even Amazon, I feel compelled to say that The Boys is on now on Amazon, and everyone should watch it. Although nobody under 18, but everyone else should should watch it, and that's also rolling out. Like, I think they did the first 3 episodes this Friday, but generally it's one a week.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's definitely a different mindset, and everybody else seems to be succeeding where Netflix is not. So, figure it out, guys. Figure it out. All right, that is our show. Thank you to those of you who joined us live. We've actually had a pretty active community tonight, which is really exciting. We're glad to be back. It was a lot of time off. We've had a lot going on, so it's definitely good to be back. 15 years. And honestly, we're just getting started. We've got a lot of ideas for new stuff coming up. One of the things that we're going to be doing is releasing a video this month talking about the name. People ask us from time to time about the name PLUGHITZ, so I'm putting together a video going into the history of the name, where it came from. It's an interesting story that involves AOL and the FBI, so definitely stay tuned for that. And like the 4th grade, so it's very interesting. We'll have that this month on our YouTube channel, so definitely, if you're not subscribed over there, PLUGHITZ Live, check it out, subscribe. You can also join the community there or on Twitch, get some exclusive content. And if you join us over on YouTube, if you subscribe, join the community on YouTube. I gotta get the names right. You can get this show without ads. All of the sponsors are pulled out, all of the bumps. So check that out as well. And I guess with that, on behalf of the staff that's not here, I'm Scott.
I'm Avram.
And we'll see you back next time. Ciao.